Russell Brand, charged with and sexual assault in the UK.
When I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a... I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. I want to thank all of you for your continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday.
Well, have a good look, guys. Let's have a good look and figure it out. What are we looking at here? Okay? What are we looking at here? Have a good gaze. What are we thinking? Russell Brand, comedian, failed Hollywood regular, political activist when he was a lefty. He was a far left activist in like 2014. I don't even know, both sides guru at some point. Vaccine, anti-vaxxer. And now, recently, he sells amulets. Where's the advert for his amulets? Oh yeah, part of his activism was that he told people he didn't vote on Paxman. And then he got so much pushback from it that he went and took Ed Miliband onto his show. The Trues, it was called. Like news, but Trues. And then Ed Miliband persuaded him about why it's important to vote to keep the Tories out. And then he makes a video saying, we've all got to get a vote. We've got to get out and vote. I was wrong. We got to vote. The election passes. Miliband loses. Russell Brand had not registered to vote. There was no record of him registering to vote. Because you can find that publicly. Yeah, just a bad person, you know, bad
Hello,
person.
I'm
bad
just
dude.
back.
But he's a good yapper, you know, he could yap and people fell for it. And I was just like, I remember being such a black sheep in my friend group of musicians because they all thought Russell Brand was like onto some shit, you know, because he spoke well. He had the aesthetic of a guy who knew what he was talking about. Oh God, I should text all of them right now and just be like, hey, who was right about Russell Brand? I'm not going to do that. It's mean, but me.
Back from Narnia, where I had a holiday, Mr. Tumnus, Aslan, all those guys. And as you know, airports are places full of Wi-Fi and all sorts of evil energies. Think of all the phones out there, all of the signals, corruptible and corrupting.
You were an online figure, buddy. You remind your subscribers to smash that bell every single time. Okay.
Luckily, I wear this magical amulet from Tech that keeps me safe from all of the various signals out there. And also means, look at this, look how strong I am. I think this is making me more powerful, as a matter of fact. Look at that. This stuff is absolutely packed with Tech. I didn't even bring any socks or toothbrush or dog meat or anything like that. Just completely full of Tech. You should get one as well, particularly if you're planning to go to an airport anytime soon, because the bloody things are full of lethal signals. Tech, a glorious amulet to protect you from corrupting signals. Hello, I'm just back from Narnia, where I had a holiday.
Wow. Russell Brand, charged with and sexual assault in the UK. British prosecutors said that they had charged the comedian and actor with offences between 1999 and 2005 involving 4 women. So we read a story about this not long ago, like the allegations, but now he's actually been charged, which means the police are after him. Prosecutors in Britain have charged Russell Brand, the comedian and actor, with multiple counts of sexual assault, including 2 counts of rape. The country's Crown Prosecution Service announced the charges on Friday. CPS Authority. Ooh. What did they say? We have today authorized the Metropolitan Police. So this is not Child Protection Services, I believe. This is a different CPS. Crown Prosecution Service. Okay. We have today authorized the Metropolitan Police to charge Russell Brand with a number of sexual offences. We carefully reviewed the evidence after a police investigation into allegations made following the broadcast of a Channel 4 Sunday Times and Times investigation September 2023. We have concluded that Russell Brand should be charged with offences including sexual assault and indecent assault. These relate to reported non-recent offences between 1999 and 2005 involving 4 women. He will appear at Westminster Magistrates Court for a first hearing on Friday, the 2nd of May, 2025. The Crown Prosecution Service reminds everyone that criminal proceedings are active and the defendant has the right to a fair trial. It is extremely important that there will be no reporting, commentary, or sharing of information online which could in any way prejudice these proceedings. Well, haven't we been knowing this? Yes, but now he's being charged, okay? And he will have his first hearing in May. Not long. It's less than a month from now. You think he'll be his own lawyer? I mean, can you imagine his opening statement would be like 6 hours long. Jaswant Narwal, a prosecutor, said in the statement that Mr. Brand, 50, would appear at Westminster Magistrates Court in London for a first hearing on May the 2nd. Ms. Narwal added that the charges relate to reported non-recent offences between 1999 and 2005 involving 4 women. The British police began investigating Mr. Brand's past behaviour in September 2023 after the Sunday Times, Times of London and the TV network Channel 4 published a joint investigation into allegations against him. Representatives for Mr. Brand did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Friday, but he has repeatedly denied ever having committed sexual assault. After the 2023 news investigation was published, Mr. Brand released a video on social media in which he said the British media was subjecting him to a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks. Mr. Brand said that he had been once sexually promiscuous, but that his sexual encounters were always consensual. The Metropolitan Police in London outlined further details of the charges in a new news release on Friday. Mr. Brand is accused of raping a woman in the Bournemouth area in southern England in 1999, of indecently assaulting a woman in London in 2001, of orally raping and sexually assaulting a woman in 2004 in London, and between 2004 and 2005, of sexually assaulting a 4th woman in London. Just so you have some context. Obviously, if you have charges for 4 people, it generally implies that there's going to be more people. But one of the people who gave out a pretty strong suggestion about this was, I think it was Katherine Ryan, the Canadian comedian. I think she spoke ambiguously about someone in the comedy business when she was doing support act work because she was up and coming, and I think she alluded to someone being pushy, but I don't think she actually said who.
Katherine Ryan accused Russell Brand of
This is
being
an
a
AI
sexual
video.
predator
Thank you.
on a popular
Thank
TV
you.
show.
Are we going to
According-
see her talking? Oh my cock. All right, that's the roast. It's not that, is it? Where did she say it? His response. Okay, we'll do that in a minute. Picks up 8 girls at once. Okay. Oh.
Daughters and your mothers, and maybe even your pets. It's Russell Brand! I'm not saying Russell was promiscuous back in the day, but he had a loyalty card at the STI clinic.
At least in that remark I was loyal.
Yes, you were. Or you always
Could have gone to any clinic.
Well, guys, is this it? Is this the programme Katherine Ryan spoke about to Louis Theroux a while
What was she
back?
supposed to Louis Theroux about?
Clear from this footage that she's uncomfortable. So it must have been him she was talking about, and she must be very relieved today to know that he's been outed, and she was not the source for him being outed, and will therefore face...
It was Louis Theroux, was it? Okay, thank you. Why is your face is enormous, man? Please get a face shrinker or set backwards. I don't know, zoom out. Why do I need to see that enormous dome?
You can be cancelled. Like if you...
Do you think you can be cancelled? Like, is that a real thing? Or if you decide, like, I don't really care what you say, and if a few of my gigs dry up, I'll just find some other gigs.
I don't know. I think you can be cancelled. Like if you accuse too many men of sexual assault and then you're labeled a troublemaker.
Right.
People won't book you anymore. I think it's more quiet disappearing than cancellation.
You were in the papers recently for saying that there was a predator, was that the term, that you had worked with, and that you'd informed the employers that he was a predator, right?
I didn't inform employers. I informed him to his face that he was a predator.
When we say predator, what do you mean?
I mean perpetrator of sexual assault. But it is very dangerous for us to have this conversation. Well, I'm happy to have it.
Why?
But it is a litigious minefield because lots of people have tried to nail this person down for their alleged crimes. And this person has very good lawyers. So am I going to put my mortgage on the line by saying who this person is or like entering into any conversations like that? We've seen what happens to people who talk about alleged.
No, not Jimmy Carr. Apparently, Jimmy Carr rejected her at one point. I don't know if that was a joke, but yeah, that's all she said about Jimmy Carr, I think. Unless that was a cover-up, I don't know.
Story to tell. No one has perpetrated any sexual assaults against me.
Okay.
But this person, I believe very strongly, so do a lot of people believe very strongly, is an open secret, is a perpetrator of sexual assault. And I, in front of loads of people in the format of the show, said to this person's face that they were a predator.
You said it on the show, not
Lots of
backstage.
No. But again and again. But
Did they keep that in the episode?
no. Which is fine. It's fine. I still got paid and I still did my job, but I did it in my way that I felt was fair. This is what we talk about. This is what...
Wait, they would actually be in front of the live audience saying it, or they would just be on the show? What the Because these shows had live audiences, unless it was like, what show? They would have been in front of a live audience, and she's just like, hey, you're a rapist, by the way. Multiple times. Who was she on a show with multiple times? She was on 8 out of 10 Cuts, so maybe it wasn't Russell Brand she was talking about. I don't know. Why does it automatically
women
mute?
in my industry talk about all the time, because that's the safest way for us to talk about it. I didn't tell any employer or blow a whistle or do anything at all. I handled it, for lack of a better term, like a man, and said it to his face.
Did you get some criticism for that?
I got criticism for not naming who it was after the fact when I spoke about the original show, yes.
Was it here she might have?
And your mothers, and maybe even your pets. It's Russell Brand.
So this is they appear in the same thing, but what?
And your mothers, and maybe even your pets. It's Russell Brand.
John Richardson. Okay. So
I'm not saying Russell was promiscuous back in the day, but he had a loyalty card at the STI clinic.
I guess she looks kind of uncomfortable, but who knows? Yeah, the way she's looking at him.
I was loyal.
Yes, you were. You always
Could have gone to any clinic.
And your mothers.
Who knows? Who knows? Okay. The Metropolitan Police in London outlined further details of the charges in a news release on Friday. Brand is accused of raping a woman. Oh, we already did that one. The police statement added, the Met's investigation remains open and detectives ask anyone who has been affected by this case or anyone who has any information to come forward and speak with police. Under British law, it is an offence for news outlets to identify people who make sexual assault allegations unless they choose to waive their right to anonymity. Well, I hope it's not Katherine Ryan. Okay, and I've just done that. Mr. Brand became a star in Britain in the 2000s thanks to acclaimed stand-up shows that often focused on drugs and sex and that saw him selling out arena dates. He also became known as TV and radio host for the broadcasters including MTV and the BBC. He achieved fame in the United States after starring in movies such as Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Get Him to the Greek, and through a brief marriage to the singer Katy Perry. More recently, Mr. Brand has become well known as a politically charged YouTuber. Over 6 million users subscribe to his channel, where he posts videos that regularly include discussion of conspiracy theories and feature conservative figures like Tucker Carlson. On Thursday, Mr. Brand posted a clip about Donald Trump and the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Yeah, he's just very... I can see why he went MAGA and like defending Andrew Tate and shit like that, because that's the audience that he needs to cater to now. They're the only ones who will take him. Like Russell Brand's entire existence, like imagine Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it's just a massive triangle, which just writes, get as many people to pay attention to you as possible. Like that's all it is. Like his entire life has been that. He's never really been that interested, I think, in anything that he does, like comedy or politics or anything like that. It's all just like, this is the trending thing, like obviously being a kind of like edgelord, kind of sort of like goth-coded comedian in the 90s, 2000s was really popular. Then obviously getting into film would be a big thing. Progressive politics was a big thing in austerity Britain, and he rode on that bandwagon. And then now like YouTube, all like conspiratorial, I'm apolitical, but I support Trump and MAGA on everything. Like it's always just following the trail. On Thursday, Mr. Brand posted in Britain, secret rules prevent the reporting of anything that could prejudice a jury at trial after charges have been filed. Well, and he said, what? Where's his response? Is it on Twitter? Yeah. And pinned tweet, my response.
Hello. Firstly, thank you for these incredible and overwhelming messages of support. We're very fortunate in a way to live in a time where there's so little trust in the British government. We're very fortunate, I suppose, that this is happening at a time where we know that the law has become a kind of weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations that will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented. I'm speaking particularly to those of you that are watching this in the UK.
I'm sorry, I just saw the... Okay, hang on, one minute.
How do you feel about your legal system right now? How do you feel about some of the high-profile cases that are not being pursued and prosecuted? How do you feel that the Southport murders were handled? How do you feel about the government of Keir Starmer? Now, that's just sort of general context. Me, I've always told you guys...
So he's just trying to discredit the case as some kind of, like, political dystopia. Okay.
When I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, who were just out of shot over there, my beautiful children, I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. I want to thank all of you for your continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday.
Well, have a good look, guys. Let's have a good look and figure it out.
Lord, I was a drug addict, a sex addict, a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes.
Okay, let's do it, guys. Let's take this little test. What are we looking at here? Okay, what are we looking at here? We're looking at rapist or napist. One's in chat for the former, two's for the latter. Have a good gaze. What are we thinking? Oh, it's not looking good. We don't like what we see. Oh no, don't know. Not convinced. All right.
I want to thank all of you for your continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday. Thanks for your support there. And of course, I'm now going to have the opportunity to defend these charges in court, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. In the meantime, you lot, stay free, and we will be continuing to discuss this matter. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Oh God. Why is it always the worst people find Jesus and then are so annoying about it? I hate Russell Brand so much. Like, my entire life has just been... He's one of those guys that... I think the first time I saw him was Big Fat Quiz of the Year, 2000 and something. It was him and Noel Fielding who were kind of like stealing the show. But Noel Fielding was actually funny. And Russell Brand just kind of like dressed a bit like him. And was just loud and kind of irritating. And I just had to watch British society fawn, go weak at the knees for this guy for an entire decade, more than a decade. And, you know, just every time it would come up, whether it was like his comedy or the films that he was in or the little speeches, the books that he wrote books. The appearances he would do on these panel shows, the politics, and just watching people like my friends and just the British society in general just eating it all up. I don't know. It was just like, he's just one of those guys that as soon as I kind of noticed him and noticed the way people were reacting to him, I just knew that life in this country was just going to be kind of long, you know? Similar to Musk. Yeah, well, he's always just been a motor mouth, a clown that swallowed a thesaurus, and for some reason people thought it was wit. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you can tell he would just sit there at night, like reading the dictionary and looking for fun words to use, and he would just practice. Like it would never mean anything, but you'd think you were hearing something kind of like profound. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, but I just never fell for that kind of stuff. I always thought that, especially when he was doing politics and explaining philosophy to people and everything like that, I always felt like I always appreciated people who could take complicated concepts and stories and turn them into something simple and easy to understand, how they could condense things. Russell Brand seemed to take simple things and make them like unnecessarily convoluted. That was his whole thing. But it was just like, it just sounded like stream of consciousness with some long words thrown in, like Jordan Peterson. Yeah, well. That was Chomsky's criticism of Zizek. Yeah, right? Yeah. And it's a good criticism. Yeah, he was only good in Despicable Me. Oh yeah, I never actually watched that, did I? I don't think I did. Wild. Okay. He's a dragon of chaos. Donald Trump on Twitter. Uh-oh. Katy Perry, what the hell were you thinking when you married loser Russell Brand? There's a guy who's got nothing going. A waste. This is from 2014. That's so good. Loser Russell Brand. Oh, I thought that tweet was from today. Oh, I was really hopeful now, but that's a shame.